So what is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel once again. I've been down to my boys down at Dobles, and they've given me this bike for a little bit of a test ride and a first impressions review. For those of you that don't know or haven't read the title, this is the Honda CRF250L Rally. Right, so let's get on with it. I'm going to park up at some point. We're going to have a little bit of a walk round and tell you a bit about the bike more in depth. But if you need to know any more information about this bike or any other Honda, then go over to Honda's website and to Doble's website and check it out there. To give you some information on myself, I'm 6'2", just over 16 stone, have quite long legs and a little bit wide in the shoulder. Right, so let's get into it. This is the 250L Rally. For those of you that don't know, it's based on the standard 250L with better quality bodywork. Well, not better quality, different style. This is more Dakar style. It's based on, I believe, the 450 Honda Dakar bikes, but just with a 250 reliable kind of easy use engine. This is not a dirt bike. It's ran on miles, not on hours. A proper dirt bike will be serviced via their hour count rather than the mileage. This has got pretty good service intervals. I'm not 100% sure of them off the top of my head. I did read before I went out, but I've got kind of excited riding it and I've forgotten. Some of the basic differences are it's taller, it's got a higher seat height. The suspension, I believe, is similar travel, maybe even the same, but the forks and that are just set higher, so you've got better ground clearance. The clock is set up here rather than on the bars, so you've got this little screen area that, weirdly enough, I don't know why, because I'm not even a Star Wars fan, but it reminds me of Darth Vader's crash helmet. It's got LED lights front and rear. It's also got LED turn signals. It's got a bigger tank. This is a 10.1 litre, I believe, as opposed to, I think it's 7.8 on the standard 250L. Wheels wise, 21 on the front, 18 on the back. Again, I'm going to show you this when I go for a little walk round when we park up somewhere. I'm just sort of like getting used to the way it handles and the power of it and stuff like that. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not a powerful bike, not by any stretch of the imagination, but that doesn't mean it can't be fun. It's running on knobbly tyres, so the grip is not the greatest. You can certainly feel it's not on road tyres. And before anyone says it's got a 21-inch front wheel, my Africa Twin runs a 21-inch front wheel. Granted, it's probably wider than this, but I've definitely got more feel and more grip on the Africa Twin than this. Having said that, I'm not saying this bike handles badly. It's surprisingly good considering it's got knobby tyres on. So I'm going to head up to Box Hill, which is not too far from here, and we're going to have a little bit of a walk round and tell you about the bike. I will go through all the switch gear, the dash and all the little bits when I do the walk round. Off the bat, this screen is not too bad. I mean, the wind's hitting me just above the visor, so it's kind of catching the peak on this lid. I've got a Klim Krios crash helmet on at the moment, and it's catching it just under the peak. It's not bad, but you can definitely notice it over the higher screen I have on my Africa Twin. Right, so let's take it round here and we'll find a little back route to Box Hill and take it on the lanes, because this is not a motorway cruiser, let's be honest. It's not designed for that. It's designed for road and dirt, a combination of the two. It's not a 100% dirt bike and it's not a 100% road bike. It's a dual purpose, a mini adventure bike if you like. You don't have to worry about, oh, I don't want to take it off road. It's okay on the road. I mean, sitting here 44 miles an hour, which is probably about 40 miles GPS, that's pretty good. Not too much wind blast, there's no turbulence whatsoever. As I said before, I can feel the wind, but there's no turbulence. All right, let's go down here and find some little lanes. Have got to take it easy on the bends because it doesn't tip in easily. You have to kind of counter steer it, and that's because it's so light and it's got a 21-inch front wheel, so the centrifugal force on the front wheel is trying to stand it up. I mean, you can take the corners slower than I do. You don't have to take them at these speeds. Not that I'm going fast. From all the reviews I've read, I thought the suspension would be more spongy. I don't know whether they mucked about with this. I don't even know if it's adjustable. I would assume that at least the rear's adjustable, because the front's not. I can see that straight off the bat just by looking down. But it doesn't seem to dip as much as I thought it would. Right, so 56, got up to about just under 60 there. And it's a single cylinder, so you can feel a little bit of vibes from it. It's a little bit buzzy up there, not too bad, not like the old single cylinders where your gonads will go numb after 10 minutes. It's vibey, but this is going to sound a bit weird. It's kind of a smooth vibe. It's not sort of like bang, 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 bang. You can't feel like the piston's going to smash you in the face. It doesn't feel like the old single cylinders. All in all, first impressions, I'm surprised. It's better than I thought it was going to be. I watched a few reviews, read some reviews on it, and it kind of gets slagged off a little bit. I think because people put it in the dirt bike category rather than a small adventure tourer that you can sit on all day and go slowly but still go on a tour. You could put a bit of luggage on this. A 10.1 litre tank is pretty decent. You'll have to go on things like Fuelly to find out what people get to a tank, and that's what I use to get my information for any bike I'm buying or looking into. I go on Fuelly and you see what owners get. They give you a real world kind of what they get to a tank range and when they fill it up. It's quite a handy website because the manufacturers always lie. They talk out of their backsides when it comes to miles per gallon. So get over there and you'll see what owners are getting from this tank. I might have mentioned the seat's a bit hard. It's a single unit, so you can slide. You can either go forward or you can go right back, so you can stretch your legs a little bit. It's really good for that, and being tall, I do like a seat that I can move around on. It is quite quiet because it's got the standard exhaust on. It's got a nice tone to it, but it's not brap, if you know what I mean. Those of you that ride single cylinders will know what I mean by that. It's not brap style. It doesn't sort of like make your hairs stand up on the back of your neck. If I was to buy one of these or to get one of these long term, I would definitely have a go at green laning, because you can ride to the green lane, ride the green lane, then ride it back, because this is pretty good on-road as well. This is only going to be an on-road review because it's not my bike. This is a test ride. This is their demonstrator, and I'm not going to take it off-road because I don't ride off-road, and chances are I will end up on the floor, which is never good for a test ride, and then they won't give me any bikes ever again. Right, let's see what kind of pull it's got. I don't know what gear I'm in. I think this is second now. 4,000 revs, 25. I'll let these cars and post office lorry get a little bit further ahead. Then I'm going to nail it and we shall see on the rev counter where it kind of picks up. Right, let's go. So not a lot, not a lot. Picks up around 6,000 revs. Very vibey at the top, but it pulls okay. It really does pull okay. For a 250 engine, it pulls okay. And it's Honda, so it's going to go on forever. This engine will probably die after me. I'll probably die before this engine does. And I'm going to say what I say on every Honda now. Easy to ride. Every Honda I've ever been on is easy to ride. But then most bikes are easy to ride these days. It's not just Honda, it's all modern bikes tend to be quite easy to ride. It's a nice bike to chill out on. And those of you that follow my channel know that I like to explore the back roads, the country lanes, the little tiny lanes around Surrey and places like that. I can quite easily just get lost and go out and have some fun like that. And this type of bike is perfection for that. So far, although I've only been on it for 12 miles, it's doing a good job. I'm very impressed with it. One day I might get on a bike that I don't actually like, but you'll find if you love bikes, then you tend to like bikes. It's just a thing. There will be things that you don't like about a bike, and there'll be some bikes you don't like the handling of, but if you adjust and ride them how they're supposed to be ridden, then you kind of get on with any bike. Well, I'm just going to stand up now and see what it's like ergonomically when I stand up. Again, I'm 6'2", long in the legs, quite wide in the shoulder, 16 stone, so that might give you a little bit of an idea of how I'm going to judge this. Now, bearing in mind, if you're shorter than me, it's going to be a lot more ergonomically friendly, but let's give it a go. And I can say straight off the bat, the foot pegs to the tank is fine for me. My knees are on the side of the tank, which is cool, and that's good, but the bars are probably a little bit low for me. I could probably do with putting some spacers on them and putting it a little bit higher. It actually feels quite small up here, but that's probably because my legs are quite long. That's just the nature of my body. So I would put risers on here, no problem. With about an inch, maybe 2-inch riser, it'd be pretty good. I'm kind of getting a bit more confident of throwing it over slightly more to the side. But first I could feel that this is on knobby tyres, or knobbly tyres, whatever you call them. I know the States, you call them knobbies, we call them knobblies. But the off-road type tyres I'm getting used to. So at first it felt a bit vague on the front end, but once you get used to it, it's not too bad. I'm not sure what it would be like in the wet. It is so nice and light. It is so easy to ride, and the suspension soaks up those speed bumps beautifully. Not a bad place to take a test ride, is it? Well, let's hit this speed bump at 45, see what happens. Nothing. Smooth. Right, so let's go down here and test the brakes. I'm not going to slam them on too heavy because it's got knobbly tyres on, and I'm not 100% confident in the ability for them to grip. So I suppose it will test the ABS. So let's get to 30. Here we go. And then just, yeah, they work okay. There's a lot of dive on the front end, but you would expect that from this type of bike. Right, now let's give the back a stab. I could feel the, should change down really, I could feel the ABS kicking in more on the back than the front. I didn't hit the front hard enough to trigger the ABS, but on the back I could feel it. I could feel it lock free up, and you could hear it just making those little scrubby noises as it's trying to stop you. But they both work pretty well, and you're only going to really use the back brake when you're manoeuvring about. We're at Box Hill, so let's go into the car park, and hopefully there's a space and we can have a little bit of a walk round. Right, so here we have a 250 Rally, Honda CRF250 Rally, and from that little ride I've just done, I quite like it. So let's have a little look around. We go front to rear. I always say front to rear, and we end up going from bottom to top. So let's go from bottom to top. Let's do it properly this time. I will stop lying to you. Let me just throw my gloves on the back there. Right, wheels 21 inch and an 18 on the back. The tyres are 3.00 2115p, and on the back you've got a 120 80 18. You've got these knobby tyres on. You can see how new they are because they've still got these on. It's only done 50 miles this bike, so the tyres are not the grippiest at the moment. I'm sure they'll get a bit more grippy once I've got used to them, which I have done over the last 15 miles. They're not too bad considering they're this style of tyre. Right, I'm going to go to the front now because I'm going to show you these LED lights. Now this is the sticking point with this bike, is the front. A lot of people don't like the front view. I don't mind it myself. The good thing about the front view is you can't see it when you ride it. It's got LEDs in there, and this is your full beam. It's got this fake carbon. Not a fan of fake carbon. That's actually quite soft, so that's going to take a few hits from stones and not crack. That's a good idea. I like that. LED indicators front and rear, and an LED tail light. Or is that a bulb? No, that's a bulb. Bodywork wise, it's more Dakar Rally style. So you've got these side cowlings, you've got this bash plate here, although that's not really going to take much of a hit. It deflects some stones and a few bits off of the exhaust and the engine down there, but if you're going to take it on serious off-road or adventure riding, you're going to take that off and put a skid plate on there. And I'm sure there's aftermarket parts galore for this bike. Pegs are pretty decent. You can feel the vibration from them because they've got no rubbers on, but you've got a lot of grip. My feet are not slipping at all. And then rear pegs, you got these that fold out. I don't know who's going to have a passenger on here. I doubt if a lot of people will, but that's a good idea because they tuck neatly under there. Brakes, single disc on the front, single disc on the back. I think it's a 2 pot on the front, 1 pot on the back. Nissan calipers. Exhaust, it's just a standard exhaust. Quiet, but it's got kind of a deep tone. It's not great, but as I said, it's quiet, which is nice. Luggage wise, if you're going to go on a journey, you've got these tie down points here, and I'm sure you can get a rack for that, although don't put too much on the back here. If you're going to fill up your luggage, put it there, because these tend to be just a bit of decoration rather than a solid subframe. You've got a helmet lock this side, and you've also got some kind of toolbox here. Let's have a little look in there. So there you go, you've got a toolbox in there. You can get your wallet in there, you could probably get your phone in there and a few bits, probably a spare inner tube and puncture repair kit, because these are tubed tyres, so if you're out and about and you have a puncture, you've got to take the wheel off and fix it. So you might want to keep a few things in there to help you with that. Not very robust, so first fall that's probably coming off. The only problem you've got with this sort of bike is when you sit on it and you've got to stand down, you kind of compress it into the ground, so it makes it a bit more difficult. You've got to lean it completely over the other way to flick it up, but you'll get used to that. Gear shift, these are pretty good. If you want an off-road type of bike, you want that, because if it goes over, it saves bending that up. Right, let's go through the controls. Left-hand handlebar, you got high beam and normal, you got hazard lights, horn, indicators, and clutch. You've got these little, I don't know what we call them, I call them wind deflectors. They're not really bark busters or to deflect little bits off. They will, twigs maybe, and a little bit of air, but they're not robust. They're not going to save your levers. Anyway, I got distracted then. I was doing the handlebars. Let's get back to that. Kill switch and start on that side, and front brake. That's it for that. let's turn it on. This is actually the same dashboard that I had on my Grom. It's on the 250L and it's on the CB500 series, so it's pretty simple. Fuel gauge, speed, total miles, clock and rev counter around the outside. On here you've got trip A, trip B and total miles. That's it. You've also got this button here which switches the ABS off on the back. I don't believe you can do it on the move. You have to stop and switch it off. So let's have a go. Let's stick my finger on there and hold it in, and that will flash up there telling you you've got no ABS on the back. Doesn't switch it off on the front, just on the back. And to put it back on, you hold it again. Let's just try if it resets when I turn the ignition off and then back on. Yeah, it resets, so every time you turn it on it'll automatically default to being on. I like the screen, it does a pretty good job. Personally, I'll probably put an extender on there only because I'm tall, but this bar here is handy if you want to put a RAM mount on there. You can put your phone on there or your GPS or anything you want. I personally would probably beef up the suspension a little bit because of my weight. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll put the crash helmet on the floor and then I'll sit on it, and you can see how much the weight compresses the suspension with me on it. Bearing in mind, again, I'm just over 16 stone, and you can see how ergonomically it fits me as well. 6'2", and we'll go from there. Let's put the lid on the floor and I'll give you a little look at the suspension. Right, let's get back on with this test ride. Just so you know, I'm completely flat-footed and my legs are bent. I told you I've got long legs. So before you get scared of a bike of this height, come and sit on it. You might be surprised at how much it compresses and how easy you can flat-foot one of these bikes. For a single cylinder, it revs quite high. It redlines at 10,500 revs. Now, I'm a short shifter by nature. I like to short shift my bikes, so it's quite good at that, but the power doesn't kick in to around 6,000 revs, I found. So you kind of got to hang on to the revs a bit more than feels natural on a single cylinder bike. As a bike and a package, if you like this style of bike, if you like the look of it and you only want a small capacity bike for everyday use to do anything on, this is a bloody good bike, to be honest. It really is. But once you get used to those tyres, they're pretty good. They're not great, they're not the greatest tyres you're ever going to have. You're not going to try and get your knee down on any of these bends or go absolutely stupid, but I'm still having a little bit of a laugh and I'm having some fun at reasonable speeds, 40 odd miles an hour, and I'm still enjoying myself. And it feels really grippy. These tyres are pretty good. That's as much off-road as you're going to get, I'm afraid. But it gripped nicely on that gravelly, sort of like loose car park stuff. So I can imagine this on a decent hard-packed track would be very, very good. This is a winter bike or a commuter, an everyday bike. You know, when the weather's crap, the weather's really shit, this could be fun. Coming down these lanes, I'd come down these lanes in the snow on this. I'd go everywhere on this. This is a bloody good bike. It is so much better than I was expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be a lot softer on the suspension, as in bottoming out at every little bump, because I did prejudge this bike. But I could ride this all day. So apart from that seat, I could ride this all day and I'd be quite happy to have this as a bike. Right, to sum it up, would I buy one of these? CRF250 Rally? To be honest, I would. I would definitely buy one of these. I like this style of bike anyway. You know that if you watch my videos. I've got an Africa Twin, so you know I like this adventure style, and this is like the baby brother to it. If your aim is to just get out and have fun and never be stopped by any weather or conditions, then this is probably a really good buy. It handles okay on the road, and I've read that it handles okay on the dirt. So that's a nice happy medium. This is a proper dual spool. This is a 250 dual spool, and there's not too many of those about. How many 250s, 300s are there with a 21-inch front wheel? I don't think there are any. The only thing that will rival this is its own little baby brother. Even though it's not his baby brother, it's just slightly different style, is the CRF250L. That's the only real rival this bike's got. Right, so I'm going to end the video here. Don't forget, if you want to know any information about this bike or any of the Hondas that I review, go over to the Honda website or Doble Motorcycles website. I shall leave the links below in the description. So that just leaves me to say, don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share, to do all those things you need to do. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the reviews, the channel, or anything you want to talk about. Basically, you can do what you want down there. It's a free for all, as long as you're not rude. If you do have one of these bikes, let me know how you get on with it. Let me know what you think of it, or the little modifications you've done to make it better for you. So I'm gonna end it here. You know I love you all. Stay safe. Fish out.
Get all your bags, get out my house. I don't want your stuff around. I never did you wrong, but you did me wrong, so go ahead, get gone. Get all your bags, get out my house. I don't want your stuff around. I never did you wrong, but you did me wrong, so go ahead and get gone.